Hi everybody, I'm George Affleck.
And I'm Steven Johnson.
And this is the Marketing Manager Playbook. All right, so this week, Steve and I are going to talk a bit about discovery and strategy.
Well, yeah.
Putting a plan together.
What you call a discovery.
Yeah, there's lots of different names for it.
Is a strategic marketing plan.
Yeah,
is
the
that
thing
fair?
you should do first, really, before you start, when or you should do, we do every year with some of our clients.
Right.
Where you do the analysis of what you're selling and what your customer is, and then you figure out how you reach that customer.
Right.
It's the
Before you
basic
start
concept.
to market, put a plan together. Have an understanding of who your target market is. So what goes into a discovery?
For us, it's quite a process. I mean, there are mini discoveries that we do, and then big discoveries depending on the client. But really, our discovery starts with the what's called a SWOT analysis, and really digging in deep into the brand. And so, what are the strengths and weaknesses and opportunities, threats of that brand? And then you really start working with the customer, our client, to figure out who their customer persona is, their avatar, as we call it. So with us, we really work with the customer, our clients, very closely on defining the customer, because sometimes they actually have trouble. You'll say to our client, say, well, who's your customer? Well, everybody.
Right.
Everybody's our customer. And with digital marketing especially, it's really challenging to
Of course.
reach everybody.
Yeah, having an understanding of who that avatar, who that, you name them, right, in your discovery, basically.
Yeah, we give them a name.
Your target is Bob, they're 40 years old.
It's kind of dorky because you really draw literally a picture of this person.
You have a stock photo
this is your,
of him wearing a
find
fire chief hat or whatever it might
That's
be.
right.
And you go over where they get their media from, and
what magazines or what websites they go to.
Right. And then digitally or not, traditionally, that information, by understanding where they exist, where they get their media from, where they're active on social media, all that.
How much money they make.
Right.
That kind of stuff is really important, because digitally, you can do this in traditional media as well. Like back in the day, you would buy a high-end magazine if you were trying to reach, BMW drivers.
Sure.
Now with digital media, you can really go after those people through Facebook or Google or whatever medium you want, and retargeting, which we talked about, and marketing in general, and email marketing, all these different platforms you can use. But if you don't know who your customer is, and you don't know how they themselves consume, it's hard to reach them.
So what's the process in terms of putting this all together? Do you have a sit down and in person? Can you do it? Does it always have to be in person? Can you do this?
No, we could do this online for sure. And you can do this yourself internally. You can sit down with your management team and have a facilitator guide the conversation to this and follow. You can certainly send an email to me, and I can send you sort of the basic structure. But really, because I don't mind customers coming to me and saying, we've fully defined our client, and we know exactly who they are, and that's great.
Right.
But for us, it's if they haven't defined.
I don't know. Yeah. Have you really come across a client that's done a good job of that?
Not very often. I mean, I think that and there's always room for refinement. And that's why I said at the top, we often do this once a year, because it also becomes part of the management teams and HR and everybody internally in the company. If you're hiring staff, if you're looking for a sales rep, you're able to define who your customer is, and you're able to go and put a literal picture on the wall and say, this is our customer. Even in my agency, it stops us from straying from what is not our customer.
And it gives you, by doing it year to year, it allows you to reflect on. Let's say you did this last year, now you ran a year of marketing, and now it's a time to reflect on that, see what worked, see what didn't work, and then put it in, maybe there's a slight adjustment to who your target market is.
Absolutely. The end part of that whole process for us for the discovery is putting that plan together that's based on return on investment. And so you have the goals with the client. So part of that discovery is saying, what's the lifetime value of your client, and how do we define that? And it could be, and what does success look like? And what is 1 year? What do you want to be in 1 year? What do you want to be in 3 years? What do you want to be in 5 years? And then really figuring out the return on investment. Okay, if you're going to on your marketing spend. So if you're going to spend $1,000 and you want to, what do you want to get for that?
Right, and I think one real focus is figuring out what is a new customer worth to a business.
Yeah, we've had customers that come to us and they think their customer's average value is $1,000. And then once we go through this discovery and really figure out the customers, and analyze their books and talk to their senior staff, and we find out, in one case, we found out their average customer wasn't $1,000, it was like $200.
Right.
And that changes everything for how you spend your money. I mean, if I want to get more $200 clients, it's a lot different in how we digitally market, for example, than you would for $1,000.
Yeah, certainly. If you sell a product, for example, or you sell, maybe you're a distributor of products, and some are cost $1.50, and some cost $10,000. I mean, the margins, are generally relative. So,
Absolutely.
Right? How do you attract the customers that are spending the $10,000 compared to the customers that are $1.50, and they're not all the same?
And how many can you convert in a certain period of time? And there's many ways to figure out that ROI and what the customer value is. And it's really important to, I think, for anybody who's thinking about doing any marketing, to start with a discovery. Even if you just do it yourself, really figure out what your average customer is. It's amazing how many people.
Or else your budget's a shot in the dark, right?
Yeah.
Like how much you should be spending is a complete shot in the dark, and you can't, and you have nothing to base it off of when you reflect back on your
Absolutely.
Your marketing.
And you can't, then you get mad at the agency, for example. We'll get in trouble. We'll say, you haven't reached your goals. And you say, well, what are the goals? Who's our customer? Or your sales reps, you give them the goal. We want, increase of 20%. Well, how do we get there? Well, just get more customers. If you say, we need to get 20% of these people, or this product to these people, then your sales reps will go, oh, okay, I know. Even if it's a store, and your customer persona is a woman who's 40 to 50 years old. If you've narrowed it down to that, if you're in a retail store and you don't have to say no to anybody else, but generally you say, okay, this person is literally our customer and walked in here, and let's really focus on converting that customer into a sale.
Right. And so generally, like if you're creating this document, this discovery, this plan, something with Curve, for example, a client goes through this process, they're taking away something. They get
a document. They get for us, they get a really fancy book that has everything in it: the discovery, the persona, and then the strategy.
Can use that however
a
they
lot
want.
of our clients will put an RFP out, and they'll send it out to tender to other agencies just to see what's going on, and they can give clear direction. Or they have staff that can implement, and they just don't have the level of skill perhaps to do the discovery. Or they're sometimes doing a discovery. It's good to have somebody who's distant from the company to come in and do the analysis. So there's clarity for that client.
Yeah, and I think I see a big difference with clients that do have a strategic plan in terms of a huge difference in terms of return on investment. I mean, you have to get everybody together. I think that's the biggest challenge, the biggest cost is just everybody's time that needs to be a part of it.
It takes a half day for sure, just in a room to hash out things.
But the value of that time spent and that plan that you get, you definitely cover that by having a lot more of a focused marketing campaign. For sure.
So highly recommend Discovery for everybody out there watching or listening. It's for sure. It will save you money in the long run and give guys like Steve and me the clarity that we need to do the marketing ongoing with a good ROI understanding of the marketing spend, and then you get more clients. You build your business, you grow.
And that's a win-win for everybody.
Win-win for everybody. So thanks for watching and listening today, everybody.